Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Chill English Club. My name is Paul, and today I want to tell you a gentle story, a peaceful story, about the first time I left Brazil and traveled to Paris. It was a journey full of emotion, discovery, and quiet moments that I will never forget. So take a deep breath, find a quiet place, relax your mind, and just listen. This will help you learn English slowly, naturally, and calmly. Let's begin. I was born and raised in Brazil, a beautiful country full of color, music, and warm people. But ever since I was a child, I had always been curious about the world outside. One city that always lived in my dreams was Paris. I had seen it in books, on TV, and in travel magazines. The Eiffel Tower, the River Seine, the cafes, the music. There was something about Paris that felt like magic. When I was 24 years old, I decided that it was finally time. I had saved money for 2 years. I didn't want to rush. I wanted to go slowly, to prepare myself for the trip and for the experience. I booked a flight from Sao Paulo to Paris. It was going to be the longest flight of my life and also the most exciting one. At the airport, I said goodbye to my family. My mother gave me a long hug and said, "Take care of yourself and take pictures of everything." I smiled and promised her I would. I had packed my suitcase with care. Comfortable clothes, my favorite sweater, a book to read on the plane, and a small notebook to write my thoughts. I even packed some snacks, just in case airplane food didn't taste very good. When I got on the plane, I found my seat next to the window. I put on my headphones and listened to calm music. As the plane left the ground and rose into the sky, I looked down at Brazil, my home, slowly disappearing. I felt happy, I felt nervous, but most of all, I felt ready. The flight took almost 12 hours. I didn't sleep much. Instead, I looked out the window and watched the clouds. They looked like soft pillows floating in the sky. I thought about Paris. Would the people be friendly? Would I understand their language? Would I get lost? But I also told myself, it's okay. You don't need to know everything. You just need to be open. When the plane finally landed in Paris, it was early in the morning. The sky was gray. The air felt cold. But my heart was warm with excitement. I had made it. I had arrived. The airport was big. There were people everywhere. Some were speaking French, others spoke English, and a few were speaking Portuguese, just like me. I followed the signs, passed through passport control, and picked up my suitcase. Then I walked outside. It was quiet. I saw people drinking coffee at a small airport cafe. A man was reading a newspaper. A woman was helping her daughter with her scarf. And I just stood there, looking around, breathing in the Paris air. I took a taxi to my hotel. The driver smiled when I told him it was my first time in France. He didn't speak much English, and I didn't speak much French, but we understood each other. He pointed at places and said their names. I repeated them slowly, trying to learn. When I arrived at my hotel, I checked in and went to my room. It was small but cozy. There was a soft bed, a window with curtains, and a little desk where I could write. I opened the window and looked outside. There were narrow streets, little shops, and people walking with baguettes in their hands. It felt like a movie. I wanted to rest, but I also wanted to see Paris. So I put on my warm jacket and went outside. I walked slowly, taking my time. Everything was new. Everything was beautiful. As I walked through the streets, I saw things I had only seen in pictures. Old buildings with flowers in the windows, cafes with people sitting outside, even in the cold. Musicians playing soft music near the metro station. I didn't speak to anyone. I just watched, listened, smiled. Then, as I turned a corner, I saw it. The Eiffel Tower. It was far away, but I knew it instantly. Tall, strong, beautiful. I walked toward it slowly, step by step, not believing I was really there. When I got close, I sat on a bench and just stared at it. The lights began to sparkle. People were taking pictures, laughing, holding hands. And I sat there, alone, but not lonely. I felt a deep peace. I opened my notebook and wrote, "This moment is mine. I am in Paris. I am alive, and I am grateful." After that, I walked along the river Seine. I saw boats with little lights. I passed by bridges and bookshops. I even bought a hot chocolate from a small stand. The man who sold it smiled and said something in French. I didn't understand, but I smiled back. Later that night, I went back to my hotel. I was tired, but my heart was full. It was only my first day, but I had already seen so much, not just with my eyes, but with my heart. In the days that followed, I explored more. I visited museums. I tasted delicious bread and cheese. I listened to street performers and watched people dance in small parks. I got lost once, and that was okay, because every street in Paris has something special to offer. I wrote every night in my notebook, not just what I did, but how I felt. I felt calm. I felt curious. And most of all, I felt proud. Proud that I had taken this step, that I had left my comfort zone, that I had followed my dream. Now, when I think back to that first trip to Paris, I don't just remember the places. I remember the feelings, the cold air, the soft music, the warm coffee, the quiet joy in my heart. Traveling can teach us more than any book. It teaches us how to listen, how to see, how to feel. And even if we return home, we are never quite the same. Because once we see the world, even a small part of it, our world grows bigger. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helped you relax and learn. You are doing great. Every time you listen, you grow. Every sentence you understand is a small victory. And little by little, your English becomes better and better. This is Chill English Club. I'm Paul. See you in the next story. And remember, your journey is just beginning.